Alright Shinobi, in this video I'll be going over some tips and tricks on how to defeat Genichiro Ashina. I would consider him to be the first real boss fight, and by far the most challenging. He is definitely a skill check boss. Here are my stats so you can compare yourselves to where I am in the video. Just note my attack power during this fight was at 3, not 4, and I only had 5 gourd seed heals, not 6, if that's how it shows up on there. This is the 3-part fight. Parts 1 and 2 are pretty much the same with one big difference. Part 1 starts off with a very short square off. What I found best to do for me is to sprint at him immediately and time my attack to just before he shoots his arrow. If you're not comfortable doing this, simply deflect the arrow and then his follow-up attack as well. After this, the fight really begins. He has a laundry list of attacks, most of which can be deflected. If you attack him twice, he will usually attack you back. Deflect this and be prepared to immediately deflect an identical attack right after. If he does this and you successfully deflect both attacks, he usually backs off. Usually, not always, but most of the time. If he does back off, take the time to lower your posture damage by guarding. Don't worry about his posture lowering as well. We're playing the long game with this fight. You definitely want to take your time with this. And if you use an item, he will generally charge up an arrow shot at you. I've noticed if you dodge to the left, he hits you less often than dodging right. Though I would say you should guard immediately after dodging just to be safe, because that arrow will hit you very hard. He may also use a chain of attacks that always start the same, but depending on your actions, he may change the final attack. So if you see this coming, you can either deflect these attacks and do some posture damage to him, or you can step back and deflect the last attack, which is an uppercut attack. Either way works, and if you back up, you can also guard to lower your posture. If you back up too far, however, Genichiro will shoot an arrow at you instead of the uppercut, so just keep that in mind. Be prepared to deflect. He will also jump in the air and slam his sword. Deflect this and immediately prepare to do one of two things depending on which death blow you're on. If you're still working on his first death blow, more than likely he will do a thrust attack. You must do a Mikiri counter. If you're not comfortable with this move, I strongly suggest you travel to the dilapidated temple where the sculptor is and practice this technique with the Undying Man until you are. This technique will be a tremendous help, especially in part 1 of this fight. If you're working on Death Blow 2 or part 2, he will more than likely do a sweep attack, jump over it, and attack him. However, every once in a while, not very often, he will throw in a thrust attack in part 2. So you're just going to have to learn what to look for. A thrust attack will have Genichiro duck down and put his sword directly in front of him. And if it's the sweep attack, he will kind of duck down and kind of move his sword to his side and kind of behind him, and then he'll quickly swing it around. They look pretty similar, so you very much have to pay attention. He will also sometimes jump in the air and shoot multiple arrows. Deflect all of these, and then you can usually move in to attack. He will also sometimes pull out his bow. If you're close enough, continue to attack him as it will cancel out his attack. He usually tries it a few times in a row, so you can get some decent vitality damage and posture damage in there. He may also do an attack where he swipes at you, then kicks you. You can deflect this or dodge away from it. Like I said, parts 1 and 2 are practically the same, except where earlier pointed out with the powerful attacks. Part 3 is drastically different. This again starts off with a square off, except this time you want to stay back. He will do a powerful attack to start it off, dodge away from this, and then quickly dodge back and attack. He will also do a lightning attack where his sword gets hit by lightning. This attack is what will make or break this fight for you. You can dodge away from it, however, if you do get hit by it, you're pretty much dead unless of course you use an eel liver. You can also jump into it and hit your attack button to throw the lightning back at Genichiro. This will do massive posture damage as well as a good amount of vitality damage. This attack is the most important one to learn in this entire fight. Just like in parts 1 and 2, you will do the combo attacks as well. Deflect these or move back to guard away your posture damage. You do not want to get caught with broken posture in this section. He also has 2 powerful attacks, 1 thrust and 1 sweep. Again, pay close attention to Genichiro's movements here. You will not want to get hit by these attacks. Mikiri counter the thrust or jump over the sweep. Okay, so those are most of his moves, or at least the ones that I saw. Big things to take away from this to be successful in this fight are take your time. Really let this fight happen. If you try to rush this fight, Genichiro will punish you big time for it. Don't let his posture damage going down bother you. Sometimes it's better to let that happen than rushing in and trying to attack it to keep it up. While Genichiro steps away, that's the time to use pellets, gourd seeds, and other items as needed. Use the gourd seeds sparingly. I had 5 going into this fight and ended up using 3 of them just in the final section alone. You'll need to pay close attention to Genichiro's movements and master countering them. The Mikiri counter is especially important as those thrust attacks are extremely punishing. If you have the skill points, I'd also recommend upgrading the skill that lets you attack with your axe as well as your sword at the same time. Using the axe does leave you vulnerable, but if you time it just right, this ability can do a good amount of posture damage, and if for some reason Genichiro doesn't guard or block it, you can also hit some good vitality damage. In between parts 1 and 2, I also found it extremely helpful to move back into the middle of the room, both to put some distance between Genichiro and myself, as well as for visibility and space to move and breathe. Take that time to use items if needed. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If not, hit the dislike button and go watch someone else's video. It won't hurt my feelings whatsoever. I will have other boss guides linked in the description box down below as I come across them. And as always, stay positive, be happy, be healthy, live long and prosper, and I hope you guys have an amazing week.
ちのためそなたは戦ってくれた。捨ておくことなどできるものか。